going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36. We got this 36, and this is Big Games BS, brought to you by thehumidor.com, the go-to website for all things tobacco related. We need you to go there and need you to buy some stuff. Buy humidors, cutters, torches, all this kind of different things. In fact, we're about to make a huge purchase here from Goodfellas, the greatest cigar lounge in the world, for our cigars through them, because it's the best prices. And yeah, remember, we're buying tons. Like, we're not buying one box here at a time. We're buying thousands of dollars of inventory. So like, if this is good for us to be able to get better deals that you can get from distributors, why not you use this same stuff and take advantage of it? Getting rid of that echo here in a second, guys. But yeah, so I need y'all to go support that. Type in sports den at checkout so that you can get 20% off. And if you spend over $100, you get $150, you get free shipping. So that's basically the gist of that one right there. Give people a little bit of time to wake up this morning. I know we're going a little earlier. This is the time I would love to start, but it ain't on Miles, it's on me. I'd be kind of like it's hard getting the kids, getting the boys out of the bed and get to school, get your coffee, get your day started, and then get this going. But you know, I always say 10 between 10 and 11ish, and I'm not even 1,000% sure if it's better for me for y'all to watch it on the rebroad than to watch it live. It just gives me some engagement when you watch it live. So we got a jam-packed show today. I can't be here too long because I got shit to do. I gotta try to get to KC, but some housekeeping things. If you guys have been doing a really, really good job, of hooking me up and blessing me on the YouTube channel. We're at 1551 right now. Shout out to my guy Chris with Sporadics. He's been pushing it, and a lot of the guys have been coming over and supporting them and anybody else. So let's continue to grow that thing. We get this thing to $2,000. I'm going to give $200 to a random subscriber, random listener. We're going to eventually have. Oh, Scott, I'll tell you now, you got money, bro. You guys. Oh, okay. Hey man, come here, man. Let me show you. This is my favorite person right here. This is my guy Scott right here. This is if we had to like talk about stuff, he's kind of short, but he's big in stature anyway. He's like Joe Pesci in Casino, and I guess I would be like Robert De Niro. I'm wondering why he's beating the shit out of you. He's just beating the shit out of you. But nah, this my guy right here, man, and he just nah. All right, man, appreciate it. Did she give both or just the? I think she just did the one already. She's working on it. All right, cool. That's no problem. I was gonna come out over there. All right, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Okay, so now I can say come to Goodfellas Cigar Lounge because I just got paid. Anyways, man, I just wanted to make sure y'all understood the people who make things go. Like, again, he's gonna come here, great friend of mine. Anybody who Scott tells me that I need to holler at, I holler at anybody I tell Scott. So if you come here, you basically, because you're paying attention and you support Big Game, you're going to get the same Big Game treatment at Goodfellas Cigar Lounge that I would get, and vice versa. He also happens to own a lot of dope chicken wing establishments. So if you're in Charleston or if you're in other places and you have a hankering for some lemon pepper wets and some cheeks clapping, that's the guy that you probably that's the guy that we're going to want you to go see as we do that. But please go check out the YouTube channel. We're continuing to grow that. I can tell you we're going to have a bunch of announcements, and it really stinks and sucks to consistently have to keep doing that. But man, these deals take forever. But we do have some announcements hopefully coming by the end of the week, some streaming deals, some other stuff that we're going to be able to get you guys in hand. I'm sorry. I just really, this sharing shit on Facebook really bothers me. Please share this in different group chats and whatnot. But the most important thing is go to the YouTube channel, watch it on YouTube, comment on YouTube, that's where we're getting the best and the most traction right now. On that note, a couple things that have happened in since we've been on. I don't want to make sure. Okay, so I want to catch up on some news that we broke. So if you can click on the first note, the first link. So if you remember, we broke the Jaden Rashada news here live on the show. I had already knew about it before that because I was getting informed on actually while I was tailgating and working the Jags Titans game. But I also got told on signing day that Jaden Rashada was possibly flipping. But my sources tell me he's going to Arizona State. My sources also told me that this letter of intent has been on that motherfucking table. Like the release of him. Florida will release Jaden Rashada out of his national letter of intent. You know, all that brag. This is why you got to stop bragging, stop living through all these other kids. You'll get your shit. Some things I want to just talk about briefly as they're developing news. And we'll see how it goes. We may do the next show. But Michigan football co-offensive coordinator Matt Weiss is on leave amid the University of Michigan Police Department investigation into a report of computer access crimes at Bo Schembechler Hall in December. Could be anything. I'm hoping it's just he was being creative in changing grades. And I'm hoping that he wasn't, you know, I'm hoping it wasn't the darker side of it. And what do you mean by that? It's old white men, not even old, because he's probably around my age, and I gotta be careful when I say old now. But these guys like kiddie porn. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is, but like motherfuckers is liking little girls' vaginas, and it's not good. Like I hope if that's the case, I hope he goes under the jail. And nothing screams scammer more than Caribbean and African men. And I hate to say this, but Usain Bolt has $10 million wiped out of his retirement funds in a massive scam. We'll check that out, keep it developing. Hope he makes his money back. But this is why you have to really, really be. This is when people say athletes have to not be crazy with their money. Do you realize most of these guys go broke in legitimate ways? Like trying to do things that they were told to do. If they would have just stuck to buying cars, buying watches and shit, none of this would ever happen. It's when they're trying to actually do their future is when this stuff happens. Now, I'm going to go into some other things. I'm excited. So first, I'm excited because I remember when Power Rangers first started. I was in 10th grade. I was not in 10th grade, excuse me. I was 10 years old. And they brought it on Fox in Tallahassee, Florida. And we used to watch the Power Rangers. And it was kind of cool because it was like the United Nations ass kicking for aliens. And they had the black guy. And the only problem I hate with 90s cartoons and 90s things is they emphasize like the culture. Like hip hop Quando and like why he had to be this. And they did everything but bless this man's hairline. He had the worst haircut in the history of all black men on television. But they're doing like some Power Rangers thing on, I believe it, on Netflix. It premieres April 19th. They've got a lot of your favorite Rangers coming back. The black guy actually has a better edge now. So you can see he's matured. He's taking more pride in his looks. But he literally, out of all the people, he's the only one that literally looks the same. Everybody else looks old, but they looked old then. But he still looks like he could be playing a high school or a college or a teen actor. They say black don't crack. I'm guessing he ain't cracking.
Hold on. The yellow Ranger passed away,
didn't he? I don't know, but I know they don't use all the original ones. They're using ones from the older shows. So like it's not all the same cat. Because you know what we just had, the Green Ranger just die, right? Or was it the Red Ranger? Yeah, so because he committed suicide. So like, you know, unfortunately got arrested there. But here's one thing that I am truly proud of. And it's cool as shit. Like when you see, like people talk about social media, right? And how social media is the devil and how social media doesn't do things right. You can click on the next one. I actually have only met this guy once. And it was random when we met. We met at the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., but we had been talking and chopping it up on between Facebook, Instagram, all these things for so long. But his story is so amazing. He went to Bethune-Cookman. He's an author. He's traveled the world. He's done all these different things, and now he got back into writing. And I remember him talking about writing this children's story. And apparently, this is one of the most popular shows on Netflix right now. And he's basically the background behind it. And he's a guy I met through social media, connected, done all kinds of stuff, following him, being a cheerleader for him. Darnell Lamont Walker at Hello Darnell on Twitter. Go follow him. My dog's so official. He got like a blue check mark, all of these different things. But he's like, writing TV for y'all's kids is so dope to me because I get to create for them those moments I loved when I was eating Lucky Charms in front of the screen on Saturday mornings. He has an article written about him on BET. He was nominated for an Emmy, and it's the show's called Karma's World, and it's about a nice nappy-headed beautiful girl. And I say nappy headed, not in the negative kind. I talk about my boys. I love my boys' nappy head. It is literally showing like this stuff. Representation matters. This algorithm on social media will connect you with the best people or it will connect you with the worst people. It's all about how you use it. I promise you, it's a dope instrument. A lot of you got it, but what it does is it shows you, and it shows you a reflection of who you truly are. So if your social media is negative, I got news for you. You're a negative ass person. That's why it's negative. But this world, if you're positive and you do right by people and you're hell bent on being as good as you could possibly be, you'll find all kinds of success. It's funny because there's actually like 50 Cent is like starting to become one of the most quotable people in my life. So like he has, like, it's crazy because he's crazy. But 50 Cent says like if you are passionate about something, you pour your 100% of your energy into it, eventually something's going to come through. I hate when people say that because sometimes it doesn't work. But the only way you can have success is to do that and be passionate about it. Shout out to my guy Darnell. I'm excited about it because let me tell you how me and him really connected with our friendship, right? We connected doing silly shit during Black History Month. So I just talked to y'all, and I had some people give me some oohs and ahs and stank looks because I love Martin Luther King, what y'all do with MLK for these club flyers. It is so ignorant, it's so fucked up, but you can get mad or you can embrace it and at least see the humor in it. Like in MLK holding 2 bottles of Remy. And then actually some of the footage, there's a picture of MLK in between 2 white bitches with a lay on looking like he's living his best life. So these guys were complex men. That being said, me and Darnell first started doing little known Black history facts. And we'll be like the first person to put a whole bag of sugar in a Kool-Aid. And it would be a picture of this little Black girl from like the 1800s is doing this. Or Roscoe Jenkins, the first man to successfully flip his baby mama's income tax check. Like, or just stuff like that. Because those are things that in the culture we have that, why not laugh at it? Everybody tries to make everything, it's like what the Joker said. Why so serious? Like, yes, we can educate ourselves. And during this time where you got people like, our mayor, Ronnie D, I don't know what he's, not right, mayor, excuse me, our governor, he's doing stuff like where he wants to ban all books talking about the Black experience. There are times where we do need to be really, really serious and make sure our kids know. But there's also some things about our culture that's just funny. Like, like they got the Black guy, I think it's a fake thing, but it looks like a Black guy getting some head on a whites only bench, like from a white woman. I'm just saying, like those are Black history moments. That is a moment in Black history. Whether you want to be proud of it or not is up to you. But that is a great moment in Black history. So that's how me and Darnell got our situation. But talking about that, one of the things is Black people just can't take shit seriously, and I don't know who this bitch is. Suki with the good coochie. I guess she's probably some rapper or whatever. She looks weird. Why y'all do this to yourselves? I do have questions, just like I had questions about the trains. I have question about these giraffe eyelashes, these doing the extra stuff with your lips, poking them out. You look weird. But anyway, I'm not saying what you look like, but it's confusing because that's what the mothers do. And so like it's getting like, sometimes I think y'all are the bastions of femininity. Women, you are a woman. You dictate what women look like. The problem is y'all are starting to look like what the ones who want to be women look like. So nobody knows what they want to look like. Whatever.
As a man still out here on these Tinder streets, I look for stuff like this. Anything that looks crazy in the face, I don't care if it's plastic surgery or not. I'm not playing the game no more.
It's just tough. It's difficult. It's difficult.
I need you to look like your mom.
Right. I need to know what it's anyways. We're not even gonna get into that. But because I don't want the consonants coming at me. But she said, now where this comes is there's an MLK monument in your hometown, Miles, Boston, that is so confusing.
Yeah.
And this lady goes and says, well, I told y'all Martin Luther King had a big old country dick, but I ain't know it was that big. She's saying that this looks like a person trying to cradle a man's junk.
A man's?
Yes. Now.
Oh, I see it now.
But it's gonna be. It gets better. Now go put up what I found, and I said people can try to. There's a picture of him holding Coretta Scott King from the back. That's his arm around her neck. That's her holding his hands lovingly. But you can't tell me that this isn't what the real picture was recreated. One of the best scenes from Baby Boy, when he comes in and he grabs mama. That's right. Call for your mama. Call for your mama. And then he punches him in the chest and he licks it and he licks the top of his bald head, which I don't know what prison is like, right? But Ving Rhames played the fuck out of this role, man. Like, I believe Ving Rhames did 30 days in the penitentiary to be able to know what it's like to be, because that seems like some penitentiary shit. Like, because you just literally, you let this guy know, I could kill you right now if I want to. And instead of killing you, I'm going to get you to that point where you almost pass out. And then I'm going to make you remember this by licking the top of your head. Now you going around with the top of your head licked. And that's the last thing that I want. But I can't find the link. But Leslie Jones, actually, there's another angle from this. Actually, I think I got Chuck Hobbs.
Kept on stage.
It's when you watch, look at it from another angle, right? And you see the hand placement. The hand looks like one hand is on the back of somebody's head and that the other hand is on somebody's arm. And one could think that this was, and when Leslie Jones says, white people, be respectful. This is our icon of civil rights. Giving head to his wife. They made a portrait of it. So it looks like all kinds of weird, wild things. But long story short, we can't take shit seriously. But I'm going to KC, so I officially got my book, my flight book. I'm in a predicament. We're in Florida. It doesn't really get cold here. It's fucking snowing on Saturday. I'm not very happy about my life right now. We got pregame, postgame show, and it's gonna be snowing, and I'm gonna be out that motherfucker in the snow, freezing my ass off. So I gotta go buy some winter gear, or I need somebody in KC to come scoop me so I can go get me a winter coat as soon as I get up. I've always wanted one of them trench coats or whatever, like it's overcoat. So I need to go buy one of those. I'll be suited and booted, but I'll be freezing. But it's literally a 75% chance of snow on Saturday. What's wild though is crazy is it's not that much colder than what it was here in Jacksonville last weekend. It's just snow. Like, that makes it a little bit different. It doesn't really snow like that in Florida. But obviously the Jags won. And what happened is Trevor Lawrence continues to do iconic things. And if you could pull up the picture first, Miles, then I will go over. Trevor Lawrence beats the San Diego Chargers and then proceeds to do something that you would do when you were in college or you were a young guy. It's actually a picture, my bad. You might have to go all the way down to the bottom of it. Yeah, that picture right there. Proceeds to go and show us that he's going to live his best life. And he goes to the Waffle House. After the game, getting a good menu, he might be the first person to have ever reserved the table at Waffle House. Like a whole section. They bought out a section of the Waffle House and went out there. And, Trevor's a real dude. He's from Atlanta, from the Atlanta metro area. And to be honest with you, the next step is like, we got to get Trevor out east. We got to get him off Sutel. We got to get him, off Moncrief. We got to get him to some local establishments. But like this right here is cementing this man's legacy in Jacksonville. This guy went and got him a Texas bacon cheesesteak. He got hash brown. He got covered hash browns, which means he got hash browns with cheese. And he got a pecan waffle. Nothing better. Nothing spells great post-game nutrition than these things right here. And to be honest with you, no matter what you are, is it really a Georgia establishment? There's nothing more Duval than the Waffle House. If you go click on the one thing, because the Waffle House, especially if you get there late at night, you're going to see some fights. You're going to see you're going to see ugly people, because I will tell you, the uglier the people at the Waffle House, that right here, the more tasty the food is. And one thing that the Waffle House is going to tell you is, I've been to Waffle House a couple of times. You know what they tell? They say, "Hey man, we serving it. The only thing on the menu is the All-Star. We serving All-Stars or All-Stars. You pick." So it wasn't like, don't come and get no fancy ass order. We're not doing that shit. You get waffles, eggs, grits, and bacon or sausage. Pick which one you want. Because you'll see like some ghetto ass thing, but like something that people have posted apparently is this Waffle House breakfast sandwich, where between two waffles, they put eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese. It does look delicious. But a lot of Waffle Houses now, they put in the menu, order from the menu. We're not making nothing you've seen on TikTok. No waffle sandwiches, no hidden menus. You're going to get what we get you. And as we've seen, test these people if you want to, because I think there is how police academies they got to go to. The Waffle House Training Academy, you have to go and fight. And in order to be able, because we saw a lady literally catch a chair in midair, man, and just like, and it proceeded to flip eggs. like nothing happened. So I don't know what he's gonna eat after the Jags beat KC, but I'm here for it. But they JP Shadrick puts a tweet. These guys are pumped. Doug Peterson out here giving bars. Whether it's our money or house money, we're here. And that's Doug Peterson on the divisional round for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Them coming out. Dougie P is dope too. If you're in KC, Bold City, go follow at Bold City Cap. That's where I'm going to be. They're doing something on Friday night. I'm going there. After Chris told me we're between 12:30 or 2:30 doing the pregame show. After the pregame show, I'm finding somewhere to be at where these guys are tailgating, and I'm going to get me some beverages and some food. Can't wait for it. These guys know how to get down. If it's anything like the slab, I can't wait. Bosa bitching about stuff, man, but this is great. It's awesome to be able to be in a situation where the Jags are winning. And this is when you know you got a winning program, winning franchise, when other people try to poach them. The Texas Longhorns, there was a rumor that Chris Jackson, the wide receiver coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who should be a sought-after wide receiver coach if you look at what he's been doing. Like, the Jaguars wide receivers have exponentially grown. They're dope. They're saying he was going to take a Texas Longhorn job. Chris Jackson responded to the rumors and basically said, man, fuck what you heard. He hit the Twitter on them. He said, I have not had, he's like, for what if, like, FYI, I deal in reality and not rumors. I am the wide receiver coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, where I am under contract and absolutely love it. My main focus is doing my job to the best of my ability, preparing for a huge playoff game this weekend versus the Chiefs. Locked in. I have not had any conversations with anyone outside the organization regarding coaching. I am a Jacksonville Jaguar. My man said, fuck what you heard. This is the source. I am the source. And he could be full of shit. But at the end of the day, I love the energy, and he's doing that. He's doing the thing. The energy that I'm weirded on, though, moving forward is, can somebody in the comments or in real life explain to me the purpose of fucking recruiting rankings? Because I'm not understanding this. Recruiting rankings and rankings in general are supposed to be able to rate people from a scale of whoever's the best to whoever's the worst. But it's just like draft, when people edit draft boards. Like, how are you editing a recruiting ranking when there has not been any high school games played since December? Now, there's been an all-star game, but are you going to truly take down somebody exponentially after they haven't improved? Excuse me, after one game, an all-star game when you're playing against some of the best, you're going to get cooked every now and then. And it's one-on-ones, individual. You're like, it's going to happen. What are you talking about, James? There's a lot of things happening. This happened to Travis Hunter last year as well. And I think it was bullshit when he decommitted from Florida State to commit to Jackson State. But Kamani McLean, who is still rated the number one cornerback in the nation, went from the number 3 overall prospect on a consensusly 17th ranked prospect on 3, and this is who I'm really referring to, was rated a 5-star. Everybody else has him the number 1 rated player in the state of Florida before. On 3 has him as the number 4 rated player in the state of Florida before. How does a young man drop from 17 to 46 in a matter of weeks when there's no new games being played? A lot of people have had different opinions about it. None of them, though, have anything to do with this kid's football skill or acumen. None of this stuff has actually changed. This is why I tell people, rankings are bullshit. The boy's committed to Miami. There's rumors that he's not going to Miami, that he's going to go to Colorado. He's going to go to, or some other place. So I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I do know that this is bullshit. And I can call, like, you got to call bullshit when it's there. If he was ranked this high for 365 or longer days, why the fuck would you do this unless you have some ulterior motive or agenda? And I'll tell you what the ulterior motive and agenda is: to get people like me, you, and everybody else to talk about it. Because what better way to get the streets talking than to discuss that a kid just dropped 30 fucking points? But this is also why nobody respects you guys. If the article was written and it stated that, and the article was written, it's a countdown to the top 50 overall prospects. Now, I will say this: I do appreciate them bumping Arch Manning from being the number 1 overall prospect. But he's still a fucking 5-star, and you saw Arch Manning get his ass whooped with the minute he played guys with a pulse. But you still got him ranked the number 3 overall prospect in the nation, and he hasn't played anybody. We've seen the videos of the people he plays. They stink. We know who Kamani McLean was playing. He played on a state champion winning team. He was the best player on a state champion winning team. But yet, he drops 30 points. Arch Manning goes like 4 for 80, throws 3 interceptions in a regular ass playoff game, and he's your number 3 overall prospect as a quarterback. Have some honor, man. Stop sucking Manning dick. Like, is that all it takes is to have enough like clout? Are you afraid of the Mannings? He's still a top 50 overall player. I'm trying to find out. I gotta read. Okay, so we got Kelvin Ford. You went to go from a 5-star to a 4-star? Okay, here he is. Here's the thing for him. He has the best combination of stature, athleticism, and ball skills among cornerback prospects in 2023. Twitchy, bouncy athlete with explosive movement patterns, pairs that athleticism with high-end skill on the field. Has proven to be a ball hawk defender with 9 interceptions as a sophomore, 5 picks midway through his junior season. Uses his quickness to stay in phase with receivers off the line, long speed to turn and run down the field. Highly instinctual and plays fast, breaks on the ball quickly. Comfortable playing off man and press coverage. Doubles as a receiver, which aids in his ball skills and coordination. Would be a 4-star talent at wide receiver if he chose to be. What about that states that he should be dropped 30 points in your own evaluation? All we're asking for is a little bit of consistency. Because the problem with it is anytime I've asked, even before it was on 3, what makes a 5-star prospect? Nobody can give me anything besides what they feel this kid, like the draftability of the kid is. So are you telling me now, all of a sudden, Cormani McClain isn't draftable? In the net, you don't project him. Listen, nobody dislikes Deion on a personal level probably more than me. I don't fuck with Deion, but that doesn't mean I don't think Deion can be a good coach or Deion can develop people. This is just fucking with a kid because you can. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not cool to me. Just not a fan of that. What we're gonna get into now, because I know I'm not gonna have a ton of time, but I'll make this my my hate o'clock brought to you by, it's not hate, it's actually I'm loving it. I'm gonna celebrate your Americanism by getting your 2A rights on with Green Acres Sporting Goods. Go there, gift certificates, bullets, guns, outdoor stuff, safes. Like, you need to be able to make sure your guns are protected. Fishing rods, boats, coolers, bows and arrows. My next big purchase, I believe. Actually, no, I don't know what I'm going to get next month. Z, make sure I get hooked up with some good guns and shit. But these guys are so good. You come in, you feel warm, you feel welcome. Tell them Big Game James sent you. They're gonna make sure you're taken care of and you're hooked up with all of this good stuff. But Green Acres Sporting Goods, that's who I rock with. That's who I fucks with. If you're getting guns from anybody else, fuck you. Anyways, not just that, but like you're being silly. HBCUs and coaches. This is what I believe they should do. At first I said they should stop hiring former Hall of Fame or professional athletes and hire guys who want to be there. But then I saw Eddie George. Eddie George was on a podcast, and Eddie George showed me, in my opinion, exactly what you should go for. I'm going to play that one first. Go for in a head coach at a HBCU. He has an understanding for what's necessary to take this job. He has an understanding of what they do well. He has an understanding of how to project and get what is needed. But he also can articulate where they're behind and not make it seem as if I'm doing this university a favor by coming and coaching here, which I think is the problem that people have had, because at the end of the day, he's a guy that shows Tennessee State gave me this chance. And I'm going to make it, my number one goal and priority isn't about making Eddie George better. It's about leaving Tennessee State better than what I found. He's what every other college PWIs profess that they want. They want a coach who is also an ambassador of the program. Let's push the audio on this first clip that he has.
And the bigger issue, the school is fighting is the money that's owed to them from the land grant money that's been owed to them for the last 50 years. And that's something that can be a huge shot in the arm for our institution. And we have to be responsible enough to then take that money and put it toward infrastructure, put it toward new buildings, put it toward a robust endowment that can continue to build, to grow, and to set up other funds that's going to deal with the maintenance and the everyday use for our student athletes, and to bring in the talent and teachers where we're well staffed. So there's an opportunity there. Tennessee State has the bones to be a really, it's a great institution, but now it's time to go from good to great, to eminence, to being exceptionally great with those opportunities, with those funds, and so forth. So that's what I'm fighting for right now.
So that's one of those things. And again, he's talking about the inequities in pay, and he's talking about a lawsuit that many HBCUs have with the federal government about getting money, and how that could actually catch HBCUs up, not just from a overall athletic facility standpoint, but from a academics standpoint, which in turn makes you a better overall program because you're providing better degrees, better resources, better things like that. But click on the other video that we have with him. You actually already had it pulled up, huh? No, that's another one. Not that one. That was funny. It was the one that was talking about building the football. Anyways, no, it's no big deal. He also talks about how they're building an indoor practice facility. Yeah, you got it. All right.
Couple things. One, on the field, from an infrastructure standpoint, for us to be successful and for us to compete at a high level and compete against the other prominent schools in the FCS, on the FCS level, we've got to build a football ops center, which is on the docket to be built. When that is, I'm not sure, but that's going to allow us to have everything in one place. That's locker room, that's training table, that's meeting rooms. It's the athletic center. It's the weight room, all in one place, because right now it's piecemeal throughout the entire campus, and it's tough to be efficient when you're, excuse me,
sometimes they have a mind of their own. It's okay.
So it's tough to be efficient when it's all over the place. Couple things. One of the
field, things that I stated,
from an infrastructure standpoint,
and I talked to many people who have been
for us to compete at a high level,
PWIs or at other places. You played pro, which ironically, you believe it or not, a lot of their pro facilities are getting better now, but they weren't that great before. Like, it was not as good as your college facilities. But when you listen to this man talk, it is as if he is honored and privileged to be the head coach of Tennessee State University. And it's a humbleness. He spoke on Ed Reed's comment. The podcast is Rise and Grind that he was on. So if you want to go check it out more. But he spoke on Ed Reed in his comments. And he says, and it's frustrating, He didn't understand exactly what he was getting himself into. And when you get under the hood, you really see what's going on. And you do see the mold in the apartments. You see the mold in the dorm rooms. You see the facilities. The locker room is not the best. It's not clean. It's all those things. But guess what? That's what you are there for. And I chose to do it through action. I chose to do it through, hey, let me roll up my sleeves and get in front of these people, corporations, the school president, the politicians, and say, basically, this is what we're doing here. This is what we're going to do. He wanted to help devise a plan to move the university forward to improve the student athlete experience. It's not about going to social media and crying about the situation. One of the things that Black people have held on to, and all of my people who go to HBCUs talk about, is it's not just HBCUs, it's a college thing in general. It's making the most out of what you have. It's taking this little and stretching it and making it bigger. That's the beauty of it. And it's about understanding what you signed up for. Nobody put a fucking gun to your head and said you need to be the head coach at this school. It's about being honorable. It's about doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And when I posted this, my father, who complex man, good man though, not great dad, but to people like I said, we all are a villain or a hero in somebody's story. But he worked for a juvenile detention center, Mary Haven. To be honest with you, if you want to know what my father was, go look Major Payne, the movie Major Payne. That's what my dad did for quite some time in Ohio. And the schools, the place was called Mary Haven. And he asked the Ohio State player to come and speak to the kids. And that Ohio State player said, man, you have to pay me. You got to pay Big Dog to do that. And so my dad was like, damn, but then Eddie George overheard this. This is fresh off of him winning the Heisman Trophy. Eddie George came and brought like 6 other Ohio State football players with him. And he sat there and he talked to these young men who had no hope. And he sat there and he talked to them my father said, for 6 hours. He spent 6 hours on the campus, asked for nothing but the opportunity to be able to impact young men. At some point, this isn't just a Black thing. This is in general thing. Because people love to talk about how our culture or our people or our kids or all this. At some point, and I was talking to this young man here in Jacksonville, phenomenal story, at Ghetto Seeds on Instagram. Type that in. Go follow this guy and what he's actually doing in the city of Jacksonville. He's doing more than I'm doing. This motherfucker's in the projects. I ain't talking about house like Jay say, I don't be in the project hallways talking about how I be in the projects all day. No, he is in the trenches, giving hope to young men, teaching them, developing them, mentoring them. At a certain point, some of us have to figure out, how well off are we? Are we good enough right now? And are we mentally, physically, and economically ready to be able to go out and try to leave the generation behind that comes after us better? Are we ready to be the example? Have we made enough money? Are we okay enough? Have we got enough accolades? And those are the people that we need to be putting here. The people who appreciate and understand what it's going to take and what's necessary in order to advance the culture. And that's not just Black people. That's Black, white, Arabs, Jew, whoever you are. That's kind of what has to happen. This hyper-individualism that we have created as a society is not sustainable. We do not live in an independent reality. We live in an interdependent reality. That's why I tell my friends or tell people who are around me, like, you have access to every resource that I have access to. All you have to do is ask. I will make sure I put you in the forefront. And I want to applaud this guy. Now, I personally think he looks like Filbert from Rocko's Modern Life. But shout out to what's my guy? It's up there, Miles. Yep. is that one right there. Yep. Coach Hampton is a guy who's gone through the process. He's been through some different things. He wants to coach at an HBCU. He took this job. He came from a PWI. He understands what it's going to take. Will he be successful? Will Eddie George be successful? I don't know. But I do know this. That's the only way that you can be successful in this world when it comes to that is to have a humble heart and one of servitude. But that's the gist of my stuff with HBCUs. Now, the one funny thing is though that there's a video of a guy, Ed Reed. Like the other thing too about BCU, which I really wish Ed Reed would have maybe just paid attention to and gave him some grace. These guys literally, when I tell you 2 hurricanes in this past hurricane season, literally hit, but that one right there, hit Daytona Beach. There were kids who didn't, like, we talked about it on the show. Like, luckily, through the city of Jacksonville, we were able to raise some funds to be able to help BCU be able to afford some food. My bad, go ahead, play for the beginning. They said this is what Ed Reed, when he stepped on campus, was like. Now you gotta go put his professional voice on, but nah, it's like they got hit with back-to-back hurricanes. These kids were like, there's people who still haven't been in their dorms. There's people who have been displaced that haven't been able to work. Like sometimes you gotta look at the bigger picture before you just go popping off at the mouth. Speaking of looking at the bigger picture before you start popping off at the mouth, sometimes us guys who are in these seats, we might talk too much, man, and sometimes we get a little bit too big for our britches, man. And Emmanuel Achiuwa, I believe, is actually really good, pretty decent at what he does. And he talks very boldly, is very educated. It's like a lot of my friends who are African, though. Like I think, or just not just African, I shouldn't just say that, who are first generational Americans from parents who are foreign. They look at, and particularly those of brown descent, look at African Americans as if like everybody's just lazy. And like there wasn't like real shit and real barriers that people had to get over. But how this started was Emmanuel Achiuwa, however you say his name is, he put out the Chargers will always Charger, and they put social media quarterback 10. So talking that trash. And it was a corner. It was one of their players putting that, something like that. He put up there. So Andy Apple, whose son is Eli Apple, cornerback in the NFL. He's played 7 years. Not really that great of a player, kind of overhyped, but play 7 years. To play 7 years in the NFL, you gotta be doing something right. She comes out and says, trolling a player immediately after a devastating loss is so tacky as a so-called media guy. She's calling him to the task. Herbert would like to see your stats from the 3 quarters you played in the league. Do better. Rolling eyes emoji. He comes back with him popping off. With the utmost respect, you should know a thing or two about having fun on social media. After all, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And that's her pun. So Eli Apple, her son, tweeted to Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, he's a baby, and he tagged him. So she comes back and says, you're a so-called media guy. Like the difference is my son's playing. You're a media guy who didn't do shit in the league, constantly trashing Herbert and other guys, doing more than your bum ass ever dreamed. Then you're bringing up my son. I'm sure your mom is proud you've carved out a niche being racist favorite Negro, though. Congrats. What a clown. And then she put up his stats on the Summer Jam screen, which honestly, his stats in 2014 weren't bad. I don't know why he decided to not play anymore or wasn't asked. Like his first year, he had 2 tackles. His second year, he had 31 tackles, 21 solos, 2 tackles for loss. Now, I will say, you know, he's a corner, if I remember correctly. Those aren't great. Like, those aren't the things that you want, but it's not bad. But like he only played 2 years, and that's why I always tell people you gotta be careful, man, how you go out here because Google is readily available, especially if you go trolling people's kids and you're talking about them and you're not even on the same level. And then she goes and says, and you're a media guy. Eli is not. Oh, my bad. Let me just get this back because no. Okay. He didn't respond to that. You're a media guy. Eli is not. Eli is a current 7-year pro NFL player. You're not. You were an NFL intern. Boy, don't you go after no mama coming. Now, I ain't even going to tell you that. I ain't even going to hold you. Miss Apple, I think, it overreacts to some things, and she said some things that I don't necessarily care about. But, ma'am, I don't want no smoke. Please don't go Google my stats. Please don't come after me like that. I'm sensitive. Or like as Erykah Badu always says, keep in mind I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. But I do believe that too many of us are in the media come and are critical of guys and not understanding enough of the culture, which we should be. That's that. And then what time are we at, Miles? Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get into this one right here. Like, and it gets to something that's a little bit darker. One thing that I want us to do is, as long as you're keeping things back and forth and keeping things honest, that's dope. But I want us, and I had a friend, I actually had a good friend, Andrea, who I was friends with in college, who actually brought up some stuff. And you know, I told her, people who I grew up with, people who see me come up, their opinions both matter and don't matter. I think their opinions matter to me because I do crave being authentic. I crave people who know me know what I do want them to be proud and understanding of what I've done and what I've come through and what I've gone through. One of the things that I do like to talk about in social media as well as on the show is this toxic dating culture in which we have made to seem like it's normal. And it's not. And as a guy who like, you see like what happened with Meg Thee Stallion and you see what happened with Tory Lanez, where she was unfortunately, you know, she got shot with something. She was hit. But when you listen to all the events that led up to it, all of this was easily could have been prevented if Tory just didn't have a gun. But secondly, if cooler heads could prevail, if I'm going to go take your man or I'm going to go sleep with this by any means necessary, not blaming her because at the end of the day, she didn't deserve to get shot. But going into other stuff where people want to be in physical or I love you so hard that if I can't have you, nobody else will. You see shows like Snap. You see men do these different things to women when they get cheated on. You see all of this stuff, and it's just, I've never understood it. And that's not from a guy who hasn't been through some things. I was in a toxic relationship. My daughter's mother, that relationship was very toxic. Bitch was crazy. But I never was in a situation where I'm like, you know what? I want to risk my freedom. So again, I don't want anybody coming from behind me, choking me out and making me a fucking statue, then licking the top of my head. That's terrifying. And I'm definitely not going to do it over some vagina. Vagina going for $40 in the DR, bro. future Tyler. She belongs to the streets. Let her go. She wants to go. Let her go. But now this young man, guilty until proven innocent, but even if he isn't, we know he had something to do with the overall crime. Darius Miles, former Alabama basketball player, has now officially been charged, if I make sure I'm reading this correctly. You find the right tweet. Yeah, and this is per the New York Post. Yeah, Alabama hoops players, I think, is charged or is a suspect in the killing of Jamea Janae Harris after she wouldn't talk to him. Now, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of things going on with the case, and I'm not going to be one of those guys that's just going to say, oh, well, this because it's written, this is what happens. But the reality is there's a young lady that's dead. And this young man is what's being reported because you didn't know how to take heartbreak. University of Alabama basketball player allegedly gunned down the 23-year-old mother of one because she brushed him off, based on what the mom said. She has a 5-year-old son. Miles allegedly opened fire while she was riding in the strip near campus. The police identified Miles and Michael Lynn Davis as suspects in the shooting after they reviewed the surveillance footage and interviewed multiple witnesses. Both are being charged with capital murder. She said, Henderson said, the family and I are just in disbelief that someone like this, something like this has happened to her. We ask for prayers. The unidentified driver of the car Harris was traveling in told police he returned fire in self-defense and apparently struck one of the suspects. It appears at this time that the shooting was the result of a minor argument that occurred between the victims and the suspect after they encountered each other on the strip. So again, like one of the things that I do want to do when I do get this MFTK Foundation off the ground a little bit more is really just start getting conflict resolution. Like, I am all about owning guns. I love guns. It is the last resort. I'm not finna get in an argument with you and then try to gun you down. I think that's stupid. It takes away a life that you can't replace, and it costs too much. This, not just from a fiscal perspective. The young man lost his mother. The young kid lost his mother. He's 5, excuse me. And it was one hit. Darius Miles was not identified as the shooter, but it was his gun. Darius Miles admitted to providing Michael Davis with a handgun immediately before the shooting. The charge sheet of Miles said, intentionally caused the death of Jamea Harris by aiding and abetting by providing a firearm to Michael Davis, who shot Jamea Harris, while Harris was a passenger in the passenger seat of a Jeep. Miles has proclaimed his innocence. Miles and his family are heartbroken through his attorney tonight over the death. Darius has been accused of being involved with this tragedy. He maintains his innocence and looks forward to his day in court. The shooting happened 1:45 on a Sunday. I had a mentor of mine tell me, and when I was young, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was stupid enough to not, adhere to this. I try to adhere to it now as an adult. There are some things that that I do I don't able to do that. But there's only 2 types of people out after midnight in this world. That's suspects and victims. The best way to stay out of trouble, is to stay your ass indoors. Head coach Nate Oates said Darius Miles went back home to Washington, D.C. to deal with this personal matter earlier this season. He added that Miles' personal matter was unrelated to Sunday morning's incident. any of this stuff. They said basically that they said arguably that the coach reached out to murder Ray because the situation is similar.
Oh wow.
But I'm sorry, guys, fellas, ladies, anybody, ain't no pussy, ain't no dick good enough to get capital murder charges on. And I don't even want to play the shooting video, so you can click out of that. I was gonna do that, but that's the whole situation just sad, man. But again, but to end it lightly, because I hate to end it on a sad note. Control your emotions, learn to deal with conflict resolutions. Stop going out here thinking you Billy Badass because on Twitter and on social media and all this other stuff, rap music, country music, all of this stuff has told you that you're supposed to handle it with your fist and with honor. Because you have no idea, even if you don't get to the gunplay, you have no idea the beast in which is on the other side of that. I've seen a guy get cut. We accidentally cut off a guy in traffic one time I was in college. And the guy pulled over to the side. He told us to pull over to the side. And then 4 big black Negroes got out the car. And you know what he did? Got in his car and pulled off. Man almost got stomped to death because he was just upset of something that you're not going to even be worried about 30 minutes later. But this kid right here learned a valuable lesson, Miles. If you can push it. You don't know if it's going to be a former All-Pro in that car that's been waiting to beat somebody's ass. So this young driver sees this old man and decides that I'm going to teach this old man, I'm going to teach this old fella a lesson. Obviously, he's never seen Taken or the damn, what's the movie with Denzel Washington that also now Queen Latifah's playing a terrible show, or he's never seen The Equalizer. These old people got game, dog. These old men will whoop your ass, especially old men in fedoras, or excuse me, in Kango hats. Fedoras and Kango hats. So I see you with one of those, I automatically assume you scrapped and been in a couple fisticuffs. But this young man decided that he wanted to fight Sean Ellis, former defensive end for the New York Jets. He said he wanted to square up, and Sean Ellis gave him everything that he was looking for. And this man learned a valuable lesson, luckily, just with his hands. He didn't die. And then Sean told him some things that he needed to go check out, needed to do. So if we can play that video, and this will leave us on, if you do want to handle things with your fist, this is what could happen.
Ooh.
Caught him, came over top of him, could have kicked him, could have done that. This is the embarrassing part. When the old man just put his hands on the hip, now look at you. Look at you. Man, look what you made me do, son. Look what you made me do. Like, come on, caught him. And you know he was talking to him too. Come on, dumbass now. And look at you, boy. Look at what you made me do. And messed up my goddamn shoes and got my shirt got my collar all scratched out. But this is what could happen to you guys. If this young man would have just let cooler heads prevail, he wouldn't have become a meme, and he wouldn't have got his ass whooped on the and laying out on the interstate trying to fight an old man. Listen, man, just chill out. Stop fucking with these old heads. Sean Ellis.
Oh, over top with it.
So on that note, man, appreciate you guys chopping it up with me. I'm not sure what time the show is going to be on Friday because I'll be traveling. Or we may try to do something tomorrow. I'm not sure, 1,000% sure yet, but appreciate you guys chopping it up with me. Please go follow the YouTube, excuse me, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's continue to push that up. Let's get that to 2,000. And I'm going to say this, go Jags. Appreciate y'all chopping it up with me. We'll see you guys next time.